What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and in light of the PS4 Pro, which is actually launching next month, and the Xbox One Scorpio, which is launching next year, or the end of next year even, in light of all that and the increased power and where you've found out in interviews and announcements that the power can be used for example, the PlayStation 4 Pro, the developers can increase the resolution and upscale to 4K. They can keep it at 1080p but super sample it down, or they can use it for better frame rates, for example. Xbox One Scorpio is probably, assumingly anyway, that it'll be along the same lines of that. Now, one thing I will get out of, well, I need to get two things out of the way at the start of this video. One of which is we already know the PS4 Pro specs. We all know the style and results, or the styles of tech used, and the results generally what we're going to be getting out of the PS4 Pro. It's not really as big of an upgrade as we originally hoped, but it's still an upgrade of sorts. Now, I'm not here to debate the actual one console versus the other, or if it's a worthwhile upgrade or not. But I'm just saying I do expect more from the Xbox One Scorpio because of the proposed spec, the varied or ambiguous-ish kind of specs. It's really up in the air at the moment in the exact specifics. But yeah, we'll see how it goes anyway, because that's all plenty of time for that to come out. It is still a year away. Now, before the second thing I want to get out of the way is, before this video started, I flipped a coin and I said, heads, I'm going to talk about the Xbox first and use Xbox footage, and tails, I'm going to use PlayStation footage and talk about the PlayStation first. I flipped a coin, I got heads, so I'm using Xbox footage, as you can tell, and we're going to start with the Xbox One Scorpio first. So the main thing I want to ask in this video is, what would be we'll call it 3 main games that would like a or an Xbox One Scorpio or a PS4 Pro patch. Now, it can be various things. Now, when I say PS4 Pro patch or Xbox One Scorpio patch, you can also specify which you'd rather do. Now, would you rather them up at the 4K? Would you rather them leave it at 1080p but increase the frame rate? Or would you, if the game runs at 900p or a dynamic resolution, would you rather them lock it in with a better frame rate or the same frame rate? Whatever. You let me know all that anyway. But the main thing is, I want to throw roughly about 3 games each on each console on what I would like from them. So we'll start with the Xbox One Scorpio because I flipped the coin, and it's the one true justice. So we'll start with that anyway. So first off, Halo the Master Chief Collection. So the game runs pretty well as it is. The game looks great, no matter which one you're playing. If you're playing Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 4, or even ODST, the games look great and they run pretty damn well. Now, they could run a little better, okay? So they could run a little better, with the exception of Halo 1, which very rarely gets any, from my experience at least anyway, very rarely gets any graphical slowdown below 60 FPS, or below like maybe 58. It's nearly impossible to see the difference in real world between like 68 and 58, or sorry, 60 and 58. At least on the, on a 60 hertz TV. So the main reason I want to see that is because of the sheer amount of power afforded to the Scorpio. I'd like to see them use it to lock it to 60 FPS, which shouldn't be a problem at all. As well as Halo 2 actually does not use a full HD resolution. It does have 1080 vertical lines. Sorry, horizontal lines. There we go. It has 1080 horizontal progressive lines, but if I remember right, it's got a dynamic vertical resolution, or whatever way you want to look at it, because of the horizontal or vertical, whichever way you want to count it. But as far as I remember, it actually uses, so you're looking at maybe like 1260 by, I think it's a dynamic one if I remember right. So it'll like bounce between say 1260 or 1280 by 1080, maybe up to like 16 something by 1080. So I'd like them to use that to nail in the frame rate a bit more, keep it at 60, and boost it up to 1920 by 1080 the whole time. And the same deal goes with, say, Halo 3, ODST as well, and Halo 4. The frame rate on all of, oh, sorry, the resolution on all those, I believe, is still 1920 by 1080. I don't think there's a dynamic resolution in at them at all, or a little bit of a strange resolution. But I would like to see the performance hammered out. And as well, with all of that, if they have the extra graphical grunt to spare, boost up the res. Now, if they can get that to 1080 or to 4K 60 FPS, that would be wonderful. If they can't, I would be happy with something close to it, that they could like upscale a little bit from just under 4K to 4K, all while maintaining a good frame rate. That's the key issue. So that's one of them. Now, the other you'll probably guess straight off the bat as well, because I mentioned the Master Chief Collection, is Halo 5. I'm getting a bit more appreciation for Halo 5 lately, and I have been playing it a lot too. So I'd like to see Halo 5 uses a dynamic resolution as it is to try keep the 60 FPS frame rate. It does neither, unfortunately. The dynamic resolution doesn't help it keep 60 FPS all the time. There can be a decent amount of slowdown and a decent amount of frame drops. Now, it's usually not too bad, but I would like to see the power of the Scorpio nail that to 1080p minimum and solid 60 FPS. And at the same time, and the same deal with the Master Chief Collection, if it has enough graphical grunt to spare, boost that up to 4K with the frame rate to stay at 60 FPS, or maybe just slightly under 4K so that they can keep the 60, as well as, you know, upscale it from just under 4K. So that's another one on there as well. You can probably guess what the next one is. They're usually exclusives when it comes to lists like this. The next one I'd like to see, which is the upcoming Gears of War 4. I can't wait. I'm fucking losing my mind for Gears of War 4 right now. And I'm a huge Gears fan. Judgment wasn't the best, but the main Gears trilogy is fantastic. I've sunk ridiculous amounts of hours into the multiplayer, and I've sank ridiculous amount of hours into Horde. It's fucking crazy, that's all I can say. I can't wait for Gears 4. I know the game is going to run at 1080p, 30 FPS in single player, and they've said up to 60 in multiplayer. I don't know if that includes Horde, I wish it did, but I'd like them to use that to possibly boost it up to maybe 60 FPS in story. I know that could be a little bit of an issue, because if the game is designed around 30 FPS, the mechanics and all and the physics could be tied to it. We'll see how it goes. This is just a wish list, you know, it's not all based on reality. So let's say 1080p, 60 FPS in every mode. If they have the extra power and grunt available as well, let's boost that even higher. Let's get that up to 4K or close to it while maintaining the frame rate, and then upscale it a little bit if needed. Now, because the Xbox One Scorpio is supposed to be significantly more powerful than the original Xbox One, so I'm hoping that I'll get something close enough to this. Now, we'll move on to the PS4. I'm not going to change over footage, because at the end of the day, it's not really going to matter. So, for PS4, now one thing I want to give an honorable mention straight away is one of the games I was going to put on this list actually already has been confirmed to get a PS4 Pro patch, which is The Last of Us. So The Last of Us Remastered, I'm giving that an honorable mention because it's going to have a 4K mode. I believe it's going to run a native 4K 30 FPS cap, so we'll see how that goes anyway. I'm looking forward to actually trying that when I get a 4K HDR TV. I already have my eye on a specific model, and that's one I'm looking forward to playing as well. So I'm just going to get that out of the way. I'm not going to include it on the list, but the other ones I do want to include will be Grand Theft Auto 5, not because I'm a huge GTA player, mind you. I don't play a massive amount of Grand Theft Auto. I haven't played it in a good while, and I probably may not even play it again. Having said that, it is an absolutely gorgeous looking game. The PC version is absolutely amazing when cranked up to max, but the console versions are also really, really impressive for what we have. And I'd like to see them use that to either increase the frame rate. The games run at 1080p as it is, I believe, so I'd like to use them to keep the frame rate up higher. It currently targets 30 FPS, but it frequently dips under. So with all the extra power of both consoles, specifically the PS4 Pro in this version, you know, maybe they can use that to maybe not get 60 FPS, but possibly maybe. But let's crank up the the actual frame rate buffer to keep it at 30 FPS more. Maybe even turn on a little bit better anti-aliasing just because they can. Now, we'll see how it goes. There might be a patch for it, there might not be. Rockstar is generally a great company for stuff like this, so they might actually do that as well. Now, next one up I want to mention is Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. Now, I know I already have this on PC, and the engine scales extremely well for absolutely high resolutions, which is why I'd love to see the PS4 Pro take advantage of it. The art style in the game is fantastic. The game looks amazing. It plays amazing at 60 FPS, and it's just a brilliant game. And because of all of that, the art style and everything, with the engine, I'd love to see it boosted to 4K or near 4K, as well as keeping the frame rate, because it's a really, really great engine that scales a really, really great art style really well. And it would just look fantastic. It wouldn't make too much of a difference to me personally, but I would love to see them do that, because I think that would be one of the games that would take advantage of it and be a bigger benefit to it. And the third game on the list, I realize this will also be a multi-plat, but simply because when I do play it on console, I play it on PS4. I usually play it on PC, but I'd love to see Borderlands: The Handsome Collection get a PS4 Pro patch, simply because the resolution is good, 1080p. I played on Borderlands 2, and my big issue is the frame rate is, a lot of the time, it's all over the place, so that can be a bit jarring the whole time as well. So I don't think there'd be enough graphical grunt to boost it to 4K. I'd love to see them use the extra power to keep it at 60 FPS. Probably enough power in there to keep it at 60 FPS all the time, or at least 99% of the time. And with maybe what's a bit left to spare, boost up the resolution a little bit. We know that the PS4 Pro can use the whole new system that Sony has there with the 2x2 checkerboard upscaling, or checkerboard rendering, which allows them to increase the resolution a little bit and then upscale it as well, or downscale it and actually super sample. So that could be even better if it has enough power. I'd love to see all that hit there as well, because at the end of the day, it's going to give everyone better experiences for what they've paid for. I will be getting a PS4 Pro eventually. Not really in any rush because of the unfortunate kind of lackluster results that we're supposedly going to be getting from it. I will be getting an Xbox One Scorpio, but that's like a year away, so I'm not really worried about that at all. There'll be more positive and negative info about that between now and its release, so we'll see how it goes. So those are my picks for everything we have on there. I know a lot of my friends want to see stuff like The Witcher get a resolution boost or a frame rate boost. Unfortunately, CD Projekt Red has said they're not going to be using a PS4 Pro patch, so presumably they won't use an Xbox One Scorpio patch. But some of them have also said, like one of my friends who loves Uncharted, he'd love to see an Uncharted patch to get to potentially 60 FPS or more steadily 30 FPS. There's all sorts of requests and stuff out there. So let me know in the comment section below what games you would love. You can put more than 3 on there if you want. You can put less than 3, or you can even put 3. You can do one console, both consoles, but any console, both, whatever. Either one is absolutely fine. And what you'd prefer to see out of it. Would you love to see the resolution increased regardless of frame rate? Would you love to see a more stable frame rate, or just a higher frame rate than what you're getting as it is? Let me know all that anyway in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel while I lose my mind waiting for Gears of War 4. It's only 2 and a bit days away, less than 2 and a bit, because it's a midnight launch, so it's like 2 days and 1 hour away. Can't fucking wait.